Hey parents, when we have our brand new little babies, these little infants, these little toddlers that come into our life, oh man, do we have a lot to keep track of. Just open up that, gigantic diaper bag, baby bag thing you carry with you everywhere and look at how many things are in there and then realize you probably forgot, Dad, 2 or 3 things that are supposed to be in there that you might need the next time there's a blowout or whatever it needs to be for the baby. So there's a lot to keep track of to keep the day-to-day train going with our little babies and with our kids and keep them healthy and keep them all the things they need to have. And then there's a whole nother chart that probably isn't in that diaper bag that we need to be aware of as parents, and it's called our motor milestones or the developmental milestones chart. Now, these are things that your pediatrician and your family doctor will check in on you with during those well baby checks. But here's the deal about gross motor. So that means kind of big muscles, motor development and developmental milestones overall. So many times they are missed. And in this video, we're going to talk all about gross motor development, which is really that whole tummy time, rolling over, sitting up, crawling, and then walking. So the movement of the body for your baby and your child as a whole. And the truth is, especially last year after the CDC changed some guidelines on motor milestones, is so often these delays, these challenges with motor milestones with kids are completely overlooked, they're completely dismissed, or they're missed altogether by the pediatrician and by an average doctor. Now, as a parent, what chance do you have then? Because do you really spend that much time studying neurodevelopment and all this nerdy stuff like I do? My name is Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'm a pediatric chiropractor. That means our specialty is on the nervous system, specifically the neuromuscular system, and we're going to talk all about just that. The muscular, another word for that is motor. And the first thing I want you to know is that if you have a child and you're concerned, hey, I don't know that they're hitting their milestones, and you're not necessarily getting all the answers and explanations you need from your average pediatrician or standard doctor, you're going to get those answers and you're going to get those explanations in this video. This video is also perfect for you if you already know your child has had some motor delays and motor challenges, and you're doing some awesome stuff like pediatric physical therapy and PT, but maybe your child has plateaued. Maybe you're not quite seeing the full results you want to get out of things like PT, OT, and speech. This video is for you as well. So real quick, before we break down and get into the science and all the details about gross motor development and developmental milestones as a whole, please share this video with another mom or group of moms or parents who you know maybe their child has the same struggles here with motor milestones and overall neurological development. Because the truth is, in this video, we're going to help you discover the #1 missing link that is not going to be found in the pediatrician's office and is probably not going to be found on the evaluation and the assessment of a PT, OT, or speech therapist either. Now, those 3 professions, we work hand in hand with them all the time. We think the world of these movement-based therapy professions. And again, we co-care, co-manage, and collaborate with them all the time to get the best results. You're going to see after the end of this video that it's really a 1 + 1 = 11 effect. When you put neurologically-focused chiropractic with these movement-based motor therapies like PT, OT, and speech, you're going to get the best results. This is the content. This stuff is what we teach to parents, like we're doing here. And this is the stuff we teach to other providers as well when we're doing those sort of discussions, because it's really this missing link is something that PTs and pediatricians are not trained to look for. But you're going to we find in 80 to 90% of our cases, it's there. And so if it's not found, it's not fixed. Now, that's my Iowa terminology to say, hey, if this challenge is there, this missing link is there, and it doesn't get taken care of, everything else within their gross motor development, their core is going to stay weak. Their limbs and other things are going to stay in this low tone way. So that's another buzzword here. If you've been told your child has low tone challenges at all, you've got to watch this video all the way through, because there is a cause of low tone first, and we're going to break that down as we go through it. So what is that missing link? Well, first off, the key to understanding motor development, so motor is a 5-letter word, right? Is you got to add another 5 letters to the front of it. See, the muscles of your child's body and the developing muscular motor movement system is under complete and total control of the neuro system, Neuro. The nervous system, or getting in a little granular, the central nervous system is the absolute boss and controller and modulator of the muscular system. So it works like this. Nerves control muscles, and muscles move our structure. And so when we look at motor delays, or kind of even, we could sneak into this video things like plagiocephaly and torticollis, and these kind of structural deformations or muscle tightness like you really see in torticollis, these gross motor and structural challenges have a neurological foundation. The stress gets into the central nervous system first, and the nervous system has a tone to it. What we find all the time is that this central hub of the central nervous system is stressed out. It's wound up. The nervous system has 2 sides to it. It's got our sympathetic fight or flight tension side. So the tone, when the sympathetic nervous system is firing and overactive, like we find in all of our gross motor and neurodevelopmental cases, then those muscles get too tight and too wound up. Now, right there, you may be going, wait a minute though, that's not my kid's problem. My child, my therapist, my team told me that they have low tone. So our challenge is hypotonicity or low tone. Well, that's the number one missing link that we said we'd talk about in this video. You can't have low tone in the core or in the limbs if you don't first have excessive high tone in what's called the neurospinal and brain stem areas. See, the central nervous system is the brain, the spinal cord, and then all the motor and sensory nerves that control every tissue and cell of the body, most especially the muscles. The nervous system spends 80 to 90% of its energy just on this function: motor, muscular, dealing with gravity function. And so if the nervous system's central hub is injured during birth trauma, if it's injured by some fall or some childhood physical trauma, that's the biggest missing link. That causes the biggest missing link. We see all the time that a forceps, vacuum, emergency C-section, scheduled C-section, or induction birth comes into the child's skull, brainstem, neck, spine, and what we kind of all put together and say neurospinal system. And it creates this misalignment, this fixation, and this tension, which is all called one word: subluxation. Now, subluxation does this. It takes that central nervous system and it winds up the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system, especially in the neck and especially in the traps and especially in the shoulders. So if you have a kiddo who's got these low tone, this weak core, these coordination, these handwriting sort of challenges that your PT is trying to work on to get them walking, to get them into their motor milestones, we need to first assess their brainstem, their neck, and their spine. It's been right there in front of us all the time. But the pediatrician is not trained to assess the brainstem and the nervous system for subluxation. PTs, OTs, not trained to really assess the spine and the nervous system in the same way that a trained neurologically focused pediatric chiropractor is. So if you're finding abnormal tone in terms of weakness somewhere in your child's body and you've been said, hey, that's why they're delayed on crawling, or that's why they're delayed on walking, and that's why they're then going to be delayed with talking and emotions and everything else, you got to look one layer more midline, one layer to the trunk, or what we kind of call roots of the system, which is the central nervous system, which is that area. And that's where the answers are. And this is a big deal, because if we leave this gross motor development out of whack, and if there is gross motor delays and gross motor dysfunctions, well, gross motor development needs to get done in a complete, organized, orderly, on-time fashion to then kick on fine motor and advanced neurodevelopment. So think of it like project management. So the gross motor system, which is the big muscles of the neck, the spine, then the trunk, the core, and the limbs, they've got to develop first. There's also a ton of muscles on the inside. So a lot of gross motor delayed kiddos have constipation, had reflux as an infant, were colicky, torticollis, all these sort of things. So the whole muscular system, this big gross muscular neuromuscular system, needs to get online first and fully to then kick the project management that's inside the brain, if you will, onto speech, socialization, behavioral, and emotional regulation. And so what we see all the time is that kiddos are either these milestones, these gross motor delays were missed because it's not a parent's job to spot them, and a pediatrician isn't very good at doing it because they're not trained in these things we're talking about. This number one missing link goes right over them all the time. And even pediatric PTs, if they haven't met one of us and had this conversation either, they may miss this a lot of times as well. The birth trauma, the subluxation, the issues with the neck and the traps and the shoulders, and the fact that the spine is full of tension, hypertonicity, so that's why the core and the limbs are weak. So they're trying to train the weakness, but you've got to get rid of the tension and the tightness first. And so I'm on one now because this video is something that gets us really passionate, because the answer is to get your child back on track with their gross motor, and then next, their fine motor, their speech, their sensory, their social, their emotional regulation is all right there in front of us. And it's actually really advanced and really neurological and really awesome and really simple. If that birth trauma, if there was challenge in your child's life early on, a stressful pregnancy, an intervention at birth, if they were colicky, if they were fussy, especially if they had torticollis or plagiocephaly, acid reflux, chronic ear infections, difficulty sleeping, any of these signs are signs of subluxation in the central nervous system. And until that is found and that is fixed and that is adjusted and that is taken care of, that kiddo is going to still have these gross motor challenges, which will then set up developmental issues later on as well, because everything not only has to go on time, as the charts say, but even more importantly, it's supposed to go in the right order and in the right sequence. So if you've been doing everything you can, you're working on tummy time, you're working on the exercises at home, you're going to PT on the regular, and you're still not getting there, or you haven't even started any of that yet, both scenarios are perfect for this one move. Learn more about subluxation. Learn more about what we call neurotonal or neurologically focused chiropractic. And you can do that on our website. With this video, we're always going to have the team link to our articles. We've got some amazing articles on our website, pxdocs.com, about gross motor, fine motor, developmental milestones, torticollis, plagiocephaly, birth trauma, all the things we're talking about in this video. So go to the website, read those articles, check out the blogs, watch the videos that are with the other ones, and learn more about what all this means. And if it really could be that number one missing link to your child's gross motor, and then maybe even later on, developmental milestone challenges. And then if all that makes sense and you're wondering, hey, is my kiddo subluxated? Is their nervous system, their central nervous system, the true root cause of these then motor, muscular, movement-based challenges? Well, then get into a PX Doc's office, go to our directory, find your local doctor, give them a call, schedule an appointment, because there's an incredible piece of technology that we use called the Insight scans, where we actually measure what are called EMG scans. So that measures the neuromotor function. The M in that stands for myo, which is another term for motor and muscles, like we've been talking about in this video. And you can get those scans and you can find out exactly if your child's subluxated. If so, how bad, what's going on, and you can get a customized care plan from your PX doc and from your pediatric chiropractor if you want to take that step as well. There's lots of steps you could take to learn more, get some answers, get full explanations, and most importantly, get full results. See, this motor development, gross motor, and overall developmental milestones, they're crucial to the health and function of the brain later on in life for emotions, cognition, academics, everything. So we want to make sure that if this subluxation is that missing link and that really kind of hidden in plain sight the whole time challenge for your kiddo, that you learn more about it and that you can do something about it. And that's why we made this video. So we'd love for you to share this video, share those articles, share our website with other moms and dads, share them in the Facebook groups and different places that you belong, where you know that parents are looking for these answers and looking for these action steps to get their kiddos better, all the way better, as completely and as drug-free as can be. God bless. Be well. We'll see you on the next one.